good evening, Razorback fans. We want to welcome you to the weekly Women's Sports Resort Report, brought to you by Fordham Lee Distillery and powered by Hot Works in Springdale, Arkansas. And with me tonight, with the Amigos Provision Studios, we have Tera Talmadge of Hogs Plus. You could not stay away long from the Razorback sports, it seems like. You left Pig Trail Nation for a little bit, did some SEC stuff as you were working with Pig Trail Nation. Now you're back with Hogs Plus, and kind of got thrown to the fire. And your first day on the job, you're working out with Musselman and introducing the football coaches. So just how crazy of a ride has it been?
Yeah, it definitely has been crazy. This has been one of those things that was in the works for quite a while, and for it to finally be happening now, and the partnership that I have with the university and working with Hogs Plus now, it's really been everything I hoped it would be. You get a lot of great access, like working out with Musselman. It's been so fun, and we've gotten to do a lot of great stories so far, and I know that we're just really getting started.
So what is there any really difference when what your role was with Pig Trail Nation? I mean, content wise, opposed to what you're doing now, or is it more in depth?
So our content obviously is different than it would be for a news station, just strictly on the fact that we have so much time available to work on these pieces. And in order to put them up on a website, they don't have to fit into a newscast. They can be long form. They can be, 5+ minutes. So it's given us the opportunity to tell some stories in a more in-depth way, which I've really enjoyed so far. I just recently did a story on a bunch of the Jamaican athletes that are on the Arkansas track and field team and the high school that they all went to and how it produced them as athletes. It's really incredible. And so doing stuff like that has been a lot of fun, and it's a little more flexible. The hours are still kind of all over the place, just like local news, but that's what it is when you work in sports.
Yeah, we had a Coach Harder on, and he told me, and I shared this story when he was talking about John McDonald was at Arkansas, that Phil Knight wanted him to come coach at Oregon. Oh. And Phil was like really wanting him. And John was like, well, sir, I've got a ranch. I'm a rancher. He's like, I'll buy your ranch. And I was like, that just shows how much they respect the track and field program.
Oh, yeah.
And not only did they sweep the titles, but all 4 coaches were awarded National Coach of the Year. I don't know if that's ever been done before, but for all the head coach and assistant coach to get coach of the year, that's got to be an amazing feat.
It's incredible and so well deserved. I mean, it's just, I went to the flag raising. I don't know if you heard about it, but yes. You have 49 titles now. And so one of the things that they're doing as a track program to kind of celebrate both teams, the men and women, because it is kind of an individual sport, but they want to show what they've accomplished as a whole. And so they have a 49 flag at the outdoor facility, which represents all the 49 titles. And it was funny. I asked Bucknam, I was like, so what do you do with the old flags, 48 or 47, whatever. And he's like, oh, I never want to see those again. I just want to keep seeing that number get bigger. So I have no doubt that it will.
And, also with just, with this being the women's show and the women's programs, like you've been able to really cover both sides. And just, when you were Pig Trail Nation, me, you, and Alyssa were really always kicking around the women's basketball games. So, I mean, how much fun is it that you get to be in a role such as Hogs Plus, but yet still get to promote the women's side as well?
It's really great. I think that with Hogs Plus, there's a lot of different avenues that we can go towards in terms of covering women's sports. It doesn't necessarily have to be highlights or anything like that. I mean, for example, Talia Brooks and I have teamed up, and we've put out a new podcast called That's the Tea, and it is strictly women. We have 2 guests on every other week, and we just talk with some of the female athletes and coaches, or even just people that are associated with the University of Arkansas. We recently did one with Danielle Musselman and her daughter Mariah, and that was fantastic. Our next one is with Jordan Weber and Kyla Ross. And so that's going to be a lot of fun. I got to say, like, those 2 girls are so fun to just sit down with. You get to see a different side of them, I think, when you just have it in kind of a fun environment and it's not so serious. And so It's great. I love being able to cover all of the women's sports, and I'm excited to see, especially like the women's basketball team is doing well right now.
Yeah, and I guess and when even when we have a guest on our podcast, it's
Yeah.
like it's so appreciated. They appreciate the coverage. They appreciate so they're more personable than it's just a business. Oh, here's another interview, and that's what I've really learned, over the years of doing this. That they really embrace the coverage and the people that are there all the time.
Yeah.
So, and people like, the Pig Trail Nation, Jason Carroll before he went to Oklahoma State, Alyssa, and now Paul Boyd, now me and Ethan,
Mhm.
really being the ones that are in the forefront of the women's coverage. It's really nice. And of course, seeing the platform that Hogs Plus is, I was really excited to see Sawyer, really be able to embrace the women's, bring you on
Yeah.
and do your podcast. I mean, we had lunch on his birthday and he told me about and I was like, man, that's awesome because
Yeah.
it would be something that, when I first started in this, I was going to get you and Alyssa we do a roundtable with the coaches, but
Mhm.
Alyssa just got the new promotion. You
Yeah.
went on, done stuff. So seeing this formulate is amazing because as a female journalist, you're able to relate with their stories and it's been fun to watch.
Thank you. I really do appreciate that because it's something that I think some people get a little concerned about in terms of like what your viewership numbers are going to be when you're covering women's sports, just because, I mean, let's be honest, the men's sports usually get more traction. But when you shine a light on some of these athletes and their incredible stories, and you get to hear just kind of their perspective of how things are going, and they're open, and you get to have fun with them, I think you get to learn more about them, but also kind of it personalizes the sport. So you can watch them on the screen and you can say, "Oh, I remember this story about her. She's so cool, like she's so funny," or whatever it may be. And it helps it be more fun to watch. And I think that that's what we're trying to do is we're trying to shine a light on some of these athletes and their incredible stories.
And talk about Hunter Yurchek and just
Yeah.
the job he's done. Every coach, every player. I remember had Jill Gillen on, and she was talking about being on the committee,
Mhm.
and they couldn't get to lunch in time. And not only did they make it to where they could get to lunch on time, they extended those hours 2 more hours. Like he made the point because we know walking around the campus, it's not easy to get from one place to the other.
No.
To a volleyball practice or a gymnastics practice, and then you got to go run up and down hills. Just
That's
little
true.
things like that. The impact he's had on the women's side really it's been consistent.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of Hunter Yurchek. I think a lot of people are as well, to be honest. I'm not alone in this. I think that he's clearly done an incredible job. And I think a big part of it is because he fully embraced everything that is Arkansas. And that was a big part of him having success hiring people as well. He always said that he wouldn't want to hire someone who didn't want to be here. And you've seen the success that people like Eric Musselman have had, and it's done well. Sam Pittman as well. I mean, they want to be at Arkansas, and he wants to be at Arkansas too, and that's a big part of why he loves it here. People love him. He's being successful, and there's a lot to it too. I mean, when you talk to him, you feel very at ease. Like he's not anyone different than you would think he would be. He's genuine, he's kind, and he's getting stuff done. I'm excited to see where it heads in the next couple of years too.
He sold me on last year. It was a softball series. LSU was in town, and Arkansas was playing Kentucky, I believe.
Mhm.
And he was at every softball game,
Yep.
sitting up there. I know he's got business to attend to, but you don't see that when you got your marquee baseball series and he's there at the softball. It's like, all right, he wasn't there for a couple innings. He was there for the whole game. And I was like, okay, he gets it. And of
Yeah.
course, it was funny. I don't know if I'm really allowed to. I mean, there's no contract negotiations or nothing like that. But he was walking by one of the security people, and they said, I hope that Courtney's here for a while. And he goes, she's going to be here for a very long time.
Yeah.
And we've seen months later, she got that. So it's just awesome the faith he has in the coaches, and they really don't feel like he's looming over them, and he
Right.
lets them be successful.
Absolutely. And I mean, you talk about the excitement that he shows sometimes at games. Like, it's so entertaining to watch Hunter Yurachek just like lose it on the sideline. And I mean that in the best way. Like, he gets more hyped up than anyone else I've ever seen. And that passion that he has for every team on campus has really shown over the past couple of years.
And just the success again with the softball team and
Yeah.
basketball team, they made the WNIT, but they're making a serious run in the WMIT. But the SEC is becoming the toughest conference on both sides in almost every sport. And that's what's people don't realize. If you have a down year, softball team loses their first series against A&M, and then A&M gets swept by Georgia. It's like you just see the revolving door of so many teams are successful in the SEC.
Exactly. I mean, I think we've all talked about it. Like, the SEC is the best conference in a lot of different sports in terms of level of competition. A lot of these talented athletes want to play for these big time teams in the SEC. And it's understandable why. When you get to compete against some of the best, you get to show yourself that you are some of the best of the best. And so when you have a team like the softball team at Arkansas that's continued to just kind of raise the bar every year, it's even more impressive. And to see them continue to succeed is great. Unfortunately for the women's basketball team, I know that they were all bummed that they didn't get to make it to the NCAA tournament, but you even had like Dawn Staley out there saying that they got robbed. And I'm biased, but I agree. Like, they got robbed, and they keep showing it every time in the WNIT, especially, recently. That was a dominant win that they had against SFA. So we'll see if they can keep it up against Texas Tech.
Well, and you're seeing other teams. Mississippi State played in, and they won the first round game. Ole Miss just upset Stanford, a solid number one seed Stanford team. We see what South Carolina is doing. I believe Georgia was hanging with, Caitlin Clark and Iowa. I know it kind of got chippy at the end, but you're seeing every team win into this. And I think through the first round of the WNIT and the women's NCAA tournament, they were undefeated. So it's like that shows you how deep, and of course softball's that way. But what I wanted to ask you, and you've covered the SEC, and this is not a sunshine pupper question, but do you think that there is just overall, men's and women's, have you seen a better environment and a better program than Arkansas in your coverage?
Oh, that's so hard. In terms of like just sports, like in general, or
programs and stuff. Yeah.
It's hard because I think that some of them obviously have different strengths. I haven't been to Alabama yet before, but obviously, like, I've just covered Arkansas for such a long time that I've just really grown to love it. Like, it's become my home, and watching these coaches and the players all succeed has really been something that I've enjoyed. I mean, I've literally, when Bumper Pool graduated, I felt so old. That's the first group of players that I watched go from freshman to graduate. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is literally, I love these people. This is, these are my, like, I totally understand. These athletes are great, and Arkansas is one of the best places. I've really enjoyed being here.
And that's, going to be me next year with Aaron and Michaela, because when I started, they were freshmen, and it's like, here they are going to be fifth-year seniors and graduated. Right? And I'm just like,
it's weird.
When I first started, you were just coming out of high school, and now how everything's just, so I get that almost. But another thing that with like the Hogs Plus side of it, and you getting to do your podcast, which we'll plug here after this, but do you feel like you get to kind of be more of a fan and really get to know these players with that? Or is it still kind of, where you kind of be media?
In some ways, I think you definitely, it's less media. I will say that, because we get to sit down with them privately. It's not necessarily like, come to the studio or, it's in a press conference form. We get to kind of go in their facility and sit down with them in a place that they're comfortable with. And so it's just a little bit more they're a little bit more open and friendly. And also you get to know them on just a little bit of a different level. So it has been really enjoyable for me. And yeah, I would say it's a little less media feel.
Yeah.
So that's a big bonus.
And you got to interview Britton Wilson, and you
Yeah.
talked about catching lightning in a bottle and just
No
her
kidding.
emergence. How cool was that to really, you get to interview the star in a making. She's already, set herself up there with Aiden, but now what she did
Incredible.
post in the NCAA and setting what could be, I think they said they're still trying to
Yeah.
identify if it is a world record or not. And I was trying to get into what makes it a world record, but we didn't have time for that. But just how cool has it been, like you're talking about covering somebody as a freshman and then you see him become a star. How cool was that?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like this is Britton's year. And she is just having herself a time right now. The whole 400-meter could be world record. It's interesting, she's obviously thrilled about it being even just as fast as it was in general. Even if it's not a world record, she had to go do a lot of different tests, and then she had to send off her spikes and stuff. So there's a whole process that has to go through in order to actually have it be a world record. But world record or not, I mean, that's fast. Like, that's insane. And then to turn right around and run the 4x4 and have that be another record, and to accomplish that with the girls on the Razorback team, it was just incredible. And it's funny, I hung out with her a little bit at the SEC championship dinner that they had, and walking around with her, I mean, every single person was like, Britton, congratulations, Britton, congratulations. So she's become kind of a celebrity on campus, that's for sure.
And how cool was it? Like when we talked to Coach Harder, I was like, we were following the results, and it was like Texas was sitting down there at third or fourth, and then all of a sudden they jumped and it was 54-52, and you're like, what's going on? It comes in the last event. So I think that had to be so cool for their 4x400.
Yeah.
Up against Texas for the national championship and prevail, because no matter what, everybody who covers Arkansas has been around Arkansas. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Texas has always been that SEC type rivalry, even though they haven't been in the same conference since '92.
I mean, you saw it with the football game a couple of years ago. I think a lot of people love to hate Texas, and that's, I mean, it's not a bad thing. It makes it interesting. It makes it fun. The rivalries are always a good time. And so when you come into that track meet and the last event, you're like a 2-point difference, that's some nerves, but those girls handled it like pros. And talking with them about it, actually recently, I talked with the whole team for the 4x400, and they were like, yeah, we were nervous, but we weren't like stressed.
How strong they were. And that's what,
I mean, fine.
Coach Carter said he knew going into they had it handled.
Yeah.
3 top and of course with Britton. But what's funny, and I think a lot of people this gets brought up sometimes, but you look at campus, and half the campus seems like there's Texas plates all over the place.
Yeah.
There's so much hate at the University of Texas. It's just funny. Like, hey, we'll take your kids' college money, but as soon as you graduate, we're done with you.
We'll send you back. I get it. Hey, y'all are stuck with me now. I'm a Houston girl, but Fayetteville's my home now. So
my sister, they're from Alvin, which is right there outside of Houston. So we went to Kima Beach, the boardwalk, and so it's a good part of town. So plug your podcast again. We can find it. You said every other week, and of course, all the stuff you've got going on with Hogs Plus.
Right. So Hogs Plus is obviously a subscription website, but we have a lot of great deals going on pretty much all the time, especially right now with March Madness going on. You can use the promo code Madness to sign up. That is where all of our stuff airs. Usually I have a segment every Tuesday, and then every other Wednesday we put out our podcast. That's the Tea with me and Talia Brooks. And you can listen to it for free anytime on Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts. But if you want to watch it, you have to sign up for Hogs Plus.
Well, Tera, again, thank you. Been working on this for a while as well to get you on the podcast and talk to women's sports. But again, I mean, this is nothing new or anything like that with how we see Alyssa and you as being those trailblazers who really I know you stepped away from the women's game for a little bit, but one of those pioneers, a women's journalist who covered women's sports, both looked up to both you and Alyssa when it comes to when I started doing this. And really, when you wanted to try to tiptoe your feet into, like you said, covering the women's side. And I want to leave you on this, just talking about when you started, the reception of the women's programs and the women's content and the fans compared to where it is now. What's been the most surprising thing to you?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's surprising, but with the success of a lot of the women's teams recently, people are obviously becoming more interested in it. And I think that that's something we need to capitalize on and try and keep their attention and tell them about these coaches and get them entertained by learning more about the players that they're cheering for. And it's a great opportunity for us. And I love getting to tell these stories and talk with these coaches and players. And it's been a lot of fun. I'm hoping that there's more continued success, that's for sure, with all of the women's sports.
Well, with the coaching lineup we got, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty okay with it.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. We'll definitely chop it up again, and hopefully end up doing some work for Hogs Plus, do some women's analyst stuff. So
Love it.
That's
Thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. This was fun.
You have a good day.
You too.
Well, that was Tera Talmadge of Hogs Plus. Like I said, couldn't stay away from Fayetteville long. Covered the SEC for a little bit, and then come back to join Hogs Plus. And I'll tell you what, just a huge addition to that staff. Just the personality she has with both sides, the men's and women's sides. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and we will talk about the women's basketball team. Arkansas softball's huge, much needed win over Alabama in Tuscaloosa, their first one ever. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
Fordham Lee is a company founded on the principles of great folks and spirits worth remembering. Look for Fordham Lee brands at Walk-Ons, Liquor World, Buster's, and soon everywhere in Northwest Arkansas that serves fine spirits. Fordham Lee Bourbon says please drink responsibly. 21 means 21. Fordham Lee Distillery, blended and bottled in Middletown, Maryland.
And we're back, and women's basketball made it to the second round of the W9T, going up against Stephen F. Austin. And I'm off to a slow start, but dominating win 60-37. Samara Spencer had 27, almost outscoring Stephen F. Austin. I think she was ahead 26-25 at one point when it come to the game. Defensively, you could just see the difference between a Stephen F. Austin and Arkansas, just the length and the depth. And it's almost like Arkansas and South Carolina, or Arkansas and Tennessee, or LSU when it comes to the size difference and just the rebounding. And so with that win, they'll play. And I do want to clarify, at first we had put out there that it was going to be Thursday at 7, but after we were in the press conference, it's Friday at 7. Go ahead and get your tickets for that game. Really want to thank the crowd that showed up for that. I mean, being spring break, didn't know really what the vibe was going to be because it is the WNIT. It's not the big dance, but these girls are still wanting to play. The seniors, for Chrissy and Avery, the ones that have, put a lot of work in for this team, and this is it for them. You got to remember when it comes to the women's side, you have half the teams in the WNBA, half the slots. So this is pretty much when it comes to the collegiate. That's why you see them come back. That's why you see the 5th and 6th year using the COVID year to come back. And we're going to be blessed with, Michaela and Aaron coming back next year using their COVID year. But they're taking on a Texas Tech team on Friday in the suite, or they call it the Super 16. That it goes on to the Elite 8. And they'll be playing the winner of Nebraska and Kansas. And again, this is week by week. They don't know until after the game who's going to host. So, there was a chance that Arkansas was going to go to Lubbock and play at Texas Tech, but the crowd, of course, the crowd coming out and the players, Samara and Riley last night just talked about coming out, seeing the crowd, and that boosted them, boosted their morale. And, I want to say thank you to the fans because, again, they didn't make it to the big dance, but they made it to WNIT. And for y'all to show up and 3,500 people showing up, I know that number is not even in comparison to what the men bring, but you know what? 3,500 is a lot. It's much appreciated. You've got the loyal Royal down there in Gucci Row that come to every single game. And I just love it. I love seeing the crowd and just the passion that they bring. And I know there's only 3,500 in the building, but they make just as much noise sometimes if there was 10,000 in there. So again, show up, show out for the women as they take on Texas Tech. Moving on to the gymnastics team before we go into the softball is, there was some kind of, controversy going on with that, with the team and a player, leaving. And there was some, I guess, not personal attacks, but there was a lot of wondering and talk and chatter about what was going on. And that was kind of put to bed of, the player's decision to step away and for them to bounce back and post their best ever score at the SEC championships and place third in their session, moving them on to Norman. You can't do nothing but applaud because, again, when you get to the point where this could be it, this is your season, what do you want to do with yourself when it comes to your backs against the wall? Just like the women's basketball team, when you're in Greenville, South Carolina, you're down 9 to Missouri, 5:41 left in the game. All right, what do you want to do? Do you want to pack this thing up? Do you want to go back to Arkansas, or do you want to fight to live to see another day? And that's what the Gym Backs did, and I really want to applaud the team for their score, their bounce back, and just seeing not only for the seniors, not only for Nora, but the freshmen, Lauren, the ones that are the hometown hero coming in and just setting the world on fire with her performances all season long. So definitely want a huge shout out to the Gym Back team, and they go to Norman. Let me see when that will be. They will go to Norman, and it will be March 30th and the 31st. And if they make it past that, the regional finals will be April 1st and 2nd. So March 30th and 31st is the second round, which, technically when you go first round, it's a couple of teams. There's one in each bracket that have to go head-to-head. So technically first round, but really they call it the second round. It's kind of like a play-in, like when it goes to the basketball team. But moving on to the softball team, and I'm telling you, with how things were going, you drop the game to UCA 2-1, which, again, we've said over and over and over again, that was going to happen. UCA is a solid team. We look at UCA like some do because we've seen them grow up from playing Arkansas Tech and being in that league. And then they go to a Division I program. But what they've done down there in Conway, building that softball program, and the talent in Arkansas, the talent of the softball in the state of Arkansas is amazing. There are so many girls that you look at Arkansas Tech, Southern Arkansas, it seems like they've exploded and they're good at everything they do down there. But for UCA to, they beat LSU last year. They got beat 1-0 this year. And for them to beat Arkansas 2-1. Then Arkansas goes on to play Texas A&M. You win the first game 8-0. You run rule them. You're like, okay, we're bounced back. But Texas A&M wins the next 2-0, and then 9-1. You got run ruled at Bogle for the first time in a long time. So you're like, okay, hold on. They lost the series. We're not used to seeing this because, of course, the back-to-back, softball teams won the SEC. So you lose to a team like Texas A&M, which the following week Texas A&M gets swept by Georgia. And I was interacting with somebody on Twitter, and they're talking about, the SEC is not as tough. Well, just because your top two teams, Arkansas loses to Texas A&M, Alabama loses to Arkansas, well, Florida's down. That's showing you that the SEC is just that tough. And there's no parity like there used to be where it was Alabama or Florida. You're getting a lot of teams that are getting better, and you're seeing the pre-effect of Texas and Oklahoma coming into the league. These other teams, like a Texas A&M, they're jumping up on their recruiting because they don't want to lose their recruits to Texas. They don't want to lose their recruits to Oklahoma. So they're starting to battle. And then after the Texas A&M, you get dropped by Wichita State, another solid program, 10-2 in the sixth inning. So they going into the Bama series, you lose the first game 2-0. You win the second game 5-3. And then last night, just a 10-inning thriller between Shanice Delce and Montana Fouts. Two of the best pitchers in the country face off and goes into extra innings. And we're at the basketball game, and then right in the middle of the press conference, right before Coach Neighbors walks up, Rylan Hedgecock hits the home run to seal the deal for Arkansas, and much needed because you played 13th ranked Alabama. You win that series. Now you got 11th ranked Florida coming up. And for somebody to say Florida's down, well, they're 21-5. They won their series against Missouri, and they're ranked 11th in the country. I don't know how you're considered down when you're almost in the top 10. Then after that, you play Mississippi State. And then you play Georgia, who swept the team that you lose to. And then another matchup against UCA on Tuesday, April the 11th. So there's a bunch of softball to be played. You get so March 24th, 25th, and 26th, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 6 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, and then noon on Sunday. Definitely go check them out. Then you get Georgia at home. So you're getting your ranked teams at home again this year. So it's going to be a great season for the softball team. They seem to be kind of gelling again, and just like what Coach Deifel said, they're good. I mean, you see them drop a series, and you're kind of taken back. I was too. You're like, okay, what's going on? What's the deal? But Coach Deifel's got this team's back, and that's all that needs to be said about that. She is Mama Bear. She loves her kids, and the kids have bought into what she's doing. And that's the biggest, you talk about recruiting tool, getting kids to buy into your system and buy into your beliefs, and what the staff that she's got going on down there at Bogle Park is amazing. Looking forward to another series. But before we go, we'll talk about our sponsors, Hot Works in Springdale and in the River Valley, in Fort Smith. It's a cool experience that I partake in. You're doing workout classes, you're doing rowing, you're on a bike, you're on a elliptical in a sauna. And I know that doesn't sound too appealing to a lot of people, but it's actually a lot of fun. You only in there for 15 minutes a session, so you're really working hard in that 15 minutes to get a good workout in. So if you're in the Springdale area at Harbor on 412 going out towards Tawnytown, Hot Works is there. Go in and see Lily. Stop in for your free session today. Also, right on down the road from there is Harbor Nutrition, another one. We are doing a health like-minded kind of sponsorship deal. Getting to the age that where I'm at, I'm really into health and fitness and trying to keep in shape, work out. Also partnered up with Push Pedal and Pull in Fayetteville. So any listeners out there that are needing any kind of home equipment, gym equipment, you've seen the post on my personal page about the FT2 trainer that I just got from Push Pedal and Pull. It's an in-home gym deal that can do anything and everything. Go in there and see Alex at Push Pedal and Pull. They will definitely get you set up for all your home and gym needs. I mean, anything you can think of, they've got it. But another thing, this is kind of geared toward the men, but I want to give a shout out to a certain business that is in Las Vegas. And if you're heading out to Vegas, want to bring you into the Roll-In Barbecue. Hold on just one second. got to get all this pulled up so I can give you the right address when you're going out there. But it's going to be Rollin' Smoke Barbecue. They are from Arkansas, and they have a barbecue joint in Vegas. So if you're going out to Vegas for the Sweet 16, I've talked to all my people. They're going to go out there and give them a shout out. But it's 3185 South Highland Drive in Las Vegas. So definitely go out there, give them a shout out, get you some. I mean, from the pictures I've seen, it looks like basically you're taking Arkansas barbecue to Vegas and churching it up a little bit. So again, thank you to all of our sponsors. You're going to notice I'm doing things a little bit different. Not only do I have the advertisers, but I am wanting to join in on these adventures. I want to join in on all the stuff that Hotworks has to offer. If I'm working in Northwest Arkansas, go to the one in Springdale. If I'm in the River Valley, you go to the one in Fort Smith. I got the gym equipment from Push, Pedal, and Pull, really starting to document and in a way put myself out there. Starting out, I was 251, at the age of 40, you want to get everything in check in order and stay in health. And you 5'11", 251, not the healthiest of types, but so it's going to be a documentation progress to show you that one, it's not too late to get started in the health and wellness, watch what you're eating, but yet show the progress of, because you see the videos, you see the people are out there, they're more than likely, they're already ripped, already jacked. And you're like, okay, that's where I want to get, but you don't see where they start. So again, it's going to be, me getting out there, going to the businesses. I'll be in Harbor Health Nutrition. I'll be in the Hotworks. I'll be at Push, Pedal, and Pull doing some videos and content. So be looking out for that. Go stop in, tell them we sent you, because this is one of them things that, it's not just an advertisement. It is me going into the places, being a part of their business. And I want them to be a part of the Hog Talk. And I want our listeners and the ones that listen to the women's show to go be a part of them too. So I really appreciate y'all tuning in tonight. Again, we're going to start kicking out some more content, daily stuff. So be looking forward to that as well. But that's all on Thursday. We will be doing a baseball preview. I know, we got the Sweet 16 in Vegas, but we're going to have our guy, Blake Ruffino from AYS Sports. Anytime we do anything LSU, we got to have him on. So Thursday at 6:30, we're going to chop it up 15, 20 minutes, give you a preview of the Arkansas LSU series. That is presented to you by the law offices of Robertson, Beasley, Shipley, and Robinson. So check that out, and we will see you then.